Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a new episode of Real Business Roundtable. Today, we have in the flesh an actual successful construction company owner, entrepreneur. He's going to contribute some information so the viewers of our show that happen to be in the industry or are looking to start a business or are in business can get some tips and information on how to succeed and thrive, and in this case would be construction. Today, we have Chris Sennott of Senco Home Services. Welcome.
Thank you, Andy.
Welcome.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. We're happy to have you. So when we're going to get into it, I just want you to know that this is freestyle. This is non-scripted. We're going to just, talk about the beginning and the how things are going and where do you aspire to take things and what got you into it. But before we get into that, I want to give a shout out to a product. Today's top picks is Go Energy by Jocko. Yes, we recommended Jocko products before. They are not a sponsor. We don't get paid shit. We don't get paid anything, which means even more you should trust my recommendation because it's actually a good product. So what I do is when I try things and I really like it or it has really good features or ingredients, I will recommend it because I actually truly believe in it. So today we're going to try the Jocko Go Energy. This isn't going to give you any crash. Chris, here you go. Blue raspberry. This is not going to give you any crash. It has great ingredients. It has theanine. It has B12, acetyl-L-carnitine, a little bit of caffeine, alpha GPC, which is great for like dopamine and stuff like that. Magnesium, just a nice ingredient deck, and it doesn't have any wacky sweeteners. It has, let's just confirm, it has monk fruit. Monk fruit's great. It's a good alternative to actual real sugar. This flavor here is the black cherry vanilla. Holy smokes, it is absolutely delicious. Shout out to Jocko Willink. Big respect, big props. Now, we're gonna get back into the show. So Chris, you tell us a little bit about your business. What got you started into this? Like, what was the beginning like?
So I started my business 6 years ago. Well, let's get a little close to that, Mike. Yeah. Started my business about 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Really, my family was a bunch of roofers.
Okay.
That's kind of where I started. That's where it all began. So I was around it my whole life. I was involved with the family business for about 10, and then I decided to go off on my own.
Now, let's back up to what age were you when you knew I want to work for myself, and what was the event that happened? So like I have my story of what kind of like the little things that motivated me. At what age were you when you were like, I think I want to work for myself?
I was in my late 20s.
Okay.
The idea kept going into my brain that, I could do it better.
Was there a specific event or an interaction with someone that sparked the entrepreneurial,
No, I mean, my whole
motivation?
life I've been pretty much an entrepreneur. I've always, tried to make a buck.
Okay.
And working for somebody, even if it is family, so you can't really make your own shots. You can't determine your growth. You can't determine really anything. So the only way to do that is to go in it yourself.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I do see that out there in the construction home improvement world is there'll be a family business, and then we'll have the children, which I've mentioned in the past episode, we'll have like the kids and they're like, they work there and you can tell they're frustrated. There's like a ceiling. Or let's say the dad or the mom, they don't want to do things to move towards progress. Mm-hmm. And sometimes we have seen people venture out just like the same way. They venture out and they do their own thing and they do it in a more modern fashion.
Yep.
Because sometimes contractors think, and this is a myth, oh, I'm all word of mouth. The word of mouth realm, when it comes to growing a construction company, that hits a cap.
I would have to say that was one of my biggest arguments with my family.
Yeah.
Was that word of mouth, everybody knows us. Well, that ain't true.
Yeah. And
that is absolutely not true.
And where the attention the attention is like more and more and more on mobile devices. And sometimes the older generation doesn't realize that because of that shift in attention. Like, for example, like I said in an earlier episode, I used to talk shit about TikTok so much. Talk shit. And then I realized there's strong organic reach on TikTok. And I was like, okay, I don't want to be, the old fat that just doesn't follow the trends. So I'm like, okay, I gotta go where the attention is. I gotta go where the eyeballs are. So that's a great example, is when you're kind of like stuck in your ways, you built your business, say old school, putting ads in newspapers and magazines and other things. I think these construction companies that are generational, they need to adopt what's changing. Where are the eyeballs right now? Where are the eyeballs shifting? So with you, can you give us an example of something in the family business that they didn't want to do that you were you wanted to do?
Advertise.
Okay.
Advertise. They were stuck in, the local paper, for instance.
Yep.
Really word of mouth. It was just centralized around a couple cities, right?
Yeah.
In order for growth, you got to expand out that box, and you have to advertise. Advertising is most certainly the key to the success of a business.
I look at it like silos. So like word of mouth is a silo, right? You're going to build that up, do a good job. You're going to have a great portfolio. You're going to have some nice before and after photos, right? But that word of mouth silo of business, that stream of business, it's going to hit a plateau just naturally, right? If you add different forms of advertising, you're getting in front of new eyeballs. And that's kind of what you were leaning towards, is a new group of people that were outside of the word of mouth.
Correct. Audience. New audience.
New audience. And that's for the people watching. Think like that. Like, okay, if I have this steady stream of business coming in, I'm doing $3 to $5 million a year, and pay attention to how long you've been doing that. If you want to break through that plateau or break through that limitation, you have to do different things.
Yeah.
So now, when you got into business for yourself, tell us a little bit about like, what was your angle on being different? Because some people compete on price and bullshit like that. But like when you went into business, did you kind of think in your head like, all right, am I going to focus on customer service? Am I going to lean more towards, like, was there some kind of direction? Like, I'll give you an example. What I do, my focus was to drive as much value as possible for the client so they in progress, so they don't look anywhere else. So when we put another, $2, $3, $4 million on their books, they're like, okay, I'm not changing this. That's kind of our angle. What was your angle when you went into business for yourself? Did you have some ideas on how you would separate yourself from competition?
I really took the approach of honest, straightforward pricing.
Yep.
And great customer service. That was kind of we wanted to give that white glove service. Yeah,
that's a big thing with contractors and roofers is, there are some like lead generation services out there that actually they'll screen the contractors because there's this reputation and fear from the homeowner. They're like, oh my God, who am I dealing with? What's going to happen? Is this person insured? Is this does this person have a portfolio? They don't know anybody from who, and they rely on your reviews and they kind of check you out. When you say customer service, so that means like open communication,
yes,
stuff like that. Your pricing was competitive.
Yep.
And like you ran like a tight show. You were insured. You had when we met, you had a decent website. You were working. Tell us a little bit about that. When you decided to go the digital route, what moved you in that direction?
I would have to say doing, my research on it, going the digital realm as far as my SEO campaigns, Google advertising and all that good stuff. I mean, by no means a professional on it like you, but I had started with a company in Wilmington, and they were, kind of walking me through it, and then you came along. You came along and you kind of just said, this is what we need to do. This will grow your business. And you know what? I tripled my revenue. right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, tripling my revenue my first 18 months.
Yep.
That was solid. But it was all by the means that you kind of.
It's just, yeah. No, but we have you on the show because I want you to kind of share some insight on the construction industry, and I don't want to turn it into a commercial.
No.
But we did some amazing things for you, and you thrived, and just to confirm, the company that Chris was with is not a bad company at all.
No,
not bad. They have a great reputation. It's just our plans were more driving revenue, driving exposure to a whole different level, using certain tactics and technology to help him in a different way, especially in a very saturated, competitive industry.
Correct.
Roofing is
very competitive.
Yeah, and then over the last, I want to say 5 years, that everybody's a roofer.
Yes.
Everybody's wrapping their truck, even though they're operating out of their houses. They don't have a nice office like you. You have a nice professional.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Absolutely. So when I drive by and I see his place, I say, that's the first thing. Forget about digital. Just forget about that for a minute. Put that to the side. Chris was doing a great job on his packaging, his presentation. He was putting Christmas lights up. He was making his place look festive and warm and family-esque, right? Psychologically, that makes your business more inviting. He has a big, bold sign that's on a main road facing every single person that drives by. So if I'm in that area and I just drop your name, I just say, hey, Senco, and they go, oh, wait, yeah. And they know who I'm talking about. It's that brand recognition that's really important. So like I said, put digital aside. What made me drawn to speaking to you was I said to myself, if he has a good sign, a nice standalone building, the guy's putting up Christmas lights. I said, he gives a shit.
By myself.
He gives a shit. So giving a shit means that he has the guts, or sometimes I say the organs, to actually go to the next level. Because if someone's, operating out of a shack or their garage and their truck looks like dog shit, he had a nice truck with a company name on it. I was like, okay, he's showing signs of caring. Maybe this gentleman might be ready to go to the next level. So tell us a little bit about, as a entrepreneur in a saturated industry, what type of challenges do you run into? For example, in a bidding situation where someone's like, I'm getting 3 quotes. What are some tips and tricks that we can help the folks at home? Obviously, you don't have to say anything proprietary, but people, let's say let's say a roofer in Texas is watching.
Yep.
In a competitive situation where somebody's like, I'm going to get 3 quotes, and you're there, what would you advise? How do you get around that challenge sometimes to get the homeowner to make a decision right then and there?
So for me personally, if they are, very adamant about getting 3 quotes, that part of my transparency policy is I would never encourage you differently.
Okay.
However, what I can assure you is I will not be the most expensive. I will not be the least expensive. I will be right in the middle, right where you need to be. Okay. We offer good quality, great quality. We offer full service. We can service whatever you need, and that usually kind of seals the deal.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I would never discourage somebody from getting 3 estimates.
Okay.
If they're adamant.
Yeah, and that's their right as a consumer.
Absolutely.
They should get quotes. Sometimes in my situation, when I talk to somebody and they're like, yeah, I'm gonna go get a couple quotes, and I know who I compete with. And I'm not, everybody has their strength, right? There are certain skill sets that are very hard to find in my industry, right? And those skill sets are very expensive. So I'm doing the math in my head. I go, there's no way. For example, if someone is super, super cheap, they're using dog shit materials, right? In my industry, if someone's super, super, super cheap, what type of talent do they have on their team?
Well, that's the
Yes.
That's the question.
That is the big question. So like for the folks at home that are watching, if you have a construction company, just remember when you do, let's say 600 a square or 700 a square or whatever it is, there is a point where you hit a point where you're just too expensive. You're going to lower your opportunities. Then if you're too cheap per square, too low of a price, it raises eyebrows where someone's willing to pay, let's say, the right amount for the right crew, insurance, a professional construction company to do the work. You're going to set off. It's not always about price, because you'll set off alarms in some people's heads, and they're going to go, okay, I don't want a shit job on my house. This is one of the biggest investments, which in most people it is, the home. It's the roof over your head. It's critical, it's required, and it's an essential. So when you are pricing yourself, it's always good to be, and I always refer to the nursery rhyme or whatever it is, the Goldilocks, the middle bowl of porridge. Be the middle bowl of porridge. Don't be the most expensive. Don't be the cheapest, because people as humans tend to like to go towards the middle.
Yes.
They're like, it's like a comfort zone. They're like, well, I won't F myself by going too high or going too low. I should just go with the middle.
Correct.
Tell us a little bit about your drive, like the level of success that you want to hit. You don't have to get into exact numbers, but in the next 3 years, would you like to 5x, 10x? Like, where's your vision for the company?
I'm 33 now.
Okay. I
want to retire by the time I'm 55.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay. Nice.
And retire well.
Okay.
So
that is possible. I've talked to you. You seem very, very gung-ho and motivated. And what's crazy is that's the piece. That's the little piece, the spark that we need for our company to feel really good about working with the clients. If they're passive, like I've talked to guys and they're already doing 50 million, say down in Florida.
Yep.
They're already doing 50 million, they're doing roofing repairs. They're referred to, and I'm not referring to someone's weight. It's called fat and happy. I'm not referring to weight. I'm talking about they're eating filet mignon and lobster every night.
Tell them to bring out the whole restaurant.
They're putting a $5-10 million in their pocket a year, and they just don't give a shit. There's no hunger, right? There's no hunger. Versus you have a guy that's doing around 2 million, $1,700,000, sometimes 3 million. And someone's like, I've been stuck at this for 5 years. I'm ready to go to the next level. I want to explode. That's what you need to have inside you as an entrepreneur in any industry. But today we're talking about construction. So if you're in a saturated industry, windows, siding, roofing, hardscapes, whatever, and you have a lot of competitors in your area, you got to have that gusto, that drive, that push, that fire, the organs. You got to have that to push yourself. So let's talk about lifestyle and how it impacts entrepreneurship. Now, I know that you're a protein shake guy. I know that you work out. Can we talk about health-wise? What do you do to stay on top of having that motivation and that edge? What's your health regimen look like?
I am at the gym 5 to 6 days a week.
Okay, nice.
Usually I always make sure in the middle of the day I take my break,
Yep.
go to the gym, so that way I'm refreshed to finish out my day.
Okay,
Yep.
awesome.
That's kind of the biggest thing for me to always stay focused.
Nutrition-wise,
eat healthy.
getting lots of protein.
Lots of protein.
Stuff like that. You work out. See, that's the key. It's not so much about mindset. You have to, as an entrepreneur, you have to get into your mind, not only your mindset, but your physical being. Position yourself to be successful, to have that fire and that motivation to go to the next level. You can't just be sitting on your ass going, oh, whoa, whoa. You're going to lose just the chemical makeup of driving success. Now, you could always sip one of these for a little bit of pep. One more shout out to Jocko Go Energy No Crash. Real Energy by Jocko Willink. Anyways, so You have to get yourself motivated, get yourself pumped. If you have an injury and you can't lift weights, do some fucking jumping jacks. Do something, move, get your blood flowing, do some push-ups, or if you can't do push-ups, do like a sprint, kick your legs up, just get the blood flowing. It doesn't mean you have to be Arnold Schwarzenegger in 2 days. I'm just saying, if you push your body to have to adapt to stressors, you'll put yourself in a better situation physically, not mentally. Remember, you can go, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this. If you don't have the physical, chemical drive in your body, you could be holding yourself back a little bit. So what I admired about Chris was like, when I bump into him, I just got out of the gym. Or, oh yeah, hey, I had a protein shake, or I get a protein shake here, and then I notice, okay, he takes care of himself, which is something that other guests on the show that I admired. And that's a piece of successful entrepreneurship, is health. Health is super, super important, regardless of your industry. And if you have an injury or you're sick, try to find an alternative or something to do. Even if like somebody's immobile, try to move something. Try to get yourself moving in some way. There's always some way to get that blood flowing for people that are trying to be successful in business.
Well, I would have to add, you have to feel good about yourself.
Yes.
In order to be the best person that you can be.
Exactly.
For your family, for yourself, and for everybody around you.
Yeah, you can't be running around and just kind of creating a bad karma situation. Nope. The karma is a big thing, and you have to do right by folks. Good will come back to you. Do the best you can. If you slip up, own it, fix it, do the right thing. I think that's very important for entrepreneurs to understand that's without those customers, without the staff, what would you have? You gotta nurture those relationships. Reputation is everything. And I think that sometimes people forget that. And
a lot of people forget that.
They forget that, or sometimes they get real big and they get kind of cocky and they start just doing messed up stuff.
Well, that's the old, you can't forget where you came from.
Exactly.
Right? I mean, that's...
Yeah, and then the big thing with us is like, big thing with me and us is like, we'd like to put ourselves in the client's shoes. What are they going through? What's going on? Like I've had people just dump all their cash into infrastructure and setting up a business, and they got barely any cash to do any marketing. And I'm like, you should have planned better. So like sometimes in certain situations, I will help a client out. I'll try to go the extra mile because I know if I can just get them over a hump, they'll do really good. Or someone has something like unexpected happen. Let's say you're doing a construction job and say a tree falls on the house, right? Suddenly a tree just falls on the job.
Okay.
There's
I'm picking up
randomly.
You're
not going to shrug your shoulders. You're going to go, all right, ma'am, miss. Okay, we're going to go through insurance. We're going to do this and that. We're going to make it right. We're going to fix it. Or just say something out of the blue happens. You stand behind your product. You stand behind your service. That's the key in business. So if you are in business, just remember, it's not always about you. Okay, it's about your customers. It's about your staff. Making sure your employees are happy. Making sure everyone's motivated to do better. But yeah, so in order to hit your retirement goal. What are you willing to, like, do you envision having like 30 salespeople? Like, where do you see yourself at that level where you could sell for a multiple? Like, how many salespeople do you envision like having?
See a team of 10 sales.
10 sales, and then ballpark, like what like how many roofs a year is your like dream goal to install?
Dream goal, I'd like to hit 1,000.
1,000 roofs.
1,000 a year.
Hell yeah. Well, here's the thing. I want everybody watching the show to make sure to stay motivated, know that there is a way to grow your construction company. We have a real life example right here. I wanted to thank you for coming on the show and sharing some information, because like we'll talk to people and like we'll give people examples and they like, oh yeah, and it's just, that's why I wanted to have you on the show, because you're a real example.
Deal. Oh yeah,
awesome. So to everybody watching, stay motivated. If you have a construction company, remember it's probably saturated, it's probably highly competitive. Make sure you get yourself at a level where you're standing out, you're driving in new customers from where the attention is online. Be sure to like, subscribe, click the bell for notifications, and stay tuned till next time.